This is David Snell with another Media Minute. This time, a lesson from Ben Bernanke. Since I don't know very much about economics, I really wasn't expecting that the 60-minute story on Fed head Ben Bernanke would enlighten me very much about the stock market or the credit crunch or derivatives. I was looking forward to see how he would handle the Snell's Law questions. Snell's Law? I figure if Murphy can have one, so can I. And Snell's Law of media interviews goes like this. The question you most dread will be asked.
The first part of the crisis was subprime.
Bernanke's Snell's Law question came from 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley.
You know, Mr. Chairman, there are so many people outside this building, across this country, who say, to hell with them. The wages of failure on Wall Street should be failure.
It may be that Chairman Bernanke came up with his answer on the spot, but my guess is he'd anticipated his Snell's Law question and prepared this analogy.
If you have a neighbor who smokes in bed, and he's a risk to everybody, and suppose he sets fire to his house, and you might say to yourself, I'm not going to call the fire department. Let his house burn down. It's fine with me. But then, of course, what if your house is made of wood and it's right next door to his house? What if the whole town is made of wood? Well, I think we'd all agree that the right thing to do is put out that fire first and then say what punishment is appropriate, how should we change the fire code, what needs to be done to make sure this doesn't happen in the future, how can we fireproof our houses. That's where we are now. We have a fire going on.
It's still burning.
It's still burning.
Okay, so that's why the bailouts, but what about the other Snell's Law question that's hanging over the economic meltdown? 60 Minutes showed us the vault in the Federal Reserve Bank in New York with pallets of $100 bills, making the point that one of the Fed's most important responsibilities is regulating the nation's banks, to be the watchdog. So why didn't they do a better job?
Our financial system didn't do a good job. We had a regulatory system that was like a sandcastle on the beach. When you had little small waves just lapping up against the sandcastle, everything looked good. But when you had a big breaker come in, suddenly the system wasn't strong enough to deal with it.
A little weak? Perhaps. But from a communication standpoint, you've got to applaud the effort. And it also makes the point that if you are going to be involved in an interview and you expect a Snell's Law question, it's worth the time it takes to come up with a good analogy or some other way to simplify your complex subject. A lesson from Ben Bernanke. This is David Snell. I'll see you again next time with another Media Minute.